I think I just hand them to Ryan. Yeah.
There's three.
Okay. Let's put them on the corner of this. Ready? Okay, let's do it. Hello and welcome, everybody. We're going to get started. We're thrilled to have you here this evening with us at the City of Copperas Cove 2025 State of the City Town Hall. My name is Beth Gaelic Carney, and I have the privilege of serving as the president of the Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau. Tonight's event is proudly sponsored by Jimmy Clark Homes. Thank you for your continued support of our community, and a special thank you to HEB for providing the cookies and water for tonight's event. We truly appreciate your generosity. I would like to take a moment to recognize a few of our special guests, if you don't mind holding your applause until the end. Of course, Mayor Dan Yancey, Mayor Pro Tem Vanya Hart, Council members Christina Strophus, Rita Hogan, John Hale, Dale Treadway, Jack Smith, City Manager Ryan Haverlaw, EDC Director Fred Welch, the City Directors and Leaders, CCISD Superintendent Dr. Brent Hawkins, and of course, the State of the City Committee. Thank you all again for being here. The fact that you've taken time out of your day to be here speaks volumes about your commitment to our city, and we are genuinely grateful for your attendance. So here's how the evening will go. We'll start with a brief address from our mayor, followed by a town hall-styled question-and-A session led by our city manager. If you have not submitted a question yet, but you would like to, you can submit a question at the table over there. Lisa is waving her hand. And we will feed those up. Just a quick note, though, because we have a little time constraint. If we aren't able to get to your question this evening, don't worry. Questions that were not addressed at this event will be shared with the appropriate departments, and you will be followed up with. And now, please join me in welcoming our wonderful Mayor Pro Tem, Mrs. Vanya Hart, to the podium for the invocation and pledges.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay? I know. How's this? Okay, thank you, everybody. If you will, please, if you can rise and please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time to be together with our community, our neighbors, friends, and family. We are thankful for all your blessings upon us and your mercy that you show in our everyday lives. We humbly ask for your presence today as we speak upon the past, present, and future planning for our city. Continue to provide direction for our mayor, council members, directors, and staff on decisions that are so vitally important for our city. We ask for your covering and protection over our families, community, first responders, and service members of all branches of the military as they bravely serve our country. And Father, help us always to remember, Lord, that you are God over all things, despite whatever is happening in our city, state, and our nation, and that only you have the final word. In Jesus' name, amen. And please join me to the pledge to our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And our state flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Hart. And now it's my pleasure to introduce someone who truly loves and leads our city with heart. Please join me in welcoming the Mayor of Copperas Cove, Mr. Dan D. Yancey, to deliver the 2025 State of the City Address.
Well, good evening. I guess you can hear me okay, all right? Okay. That's what you need to learn, Vanya. Project. You got it. You're almost there. Good evening, Copperas Cove, our residents, esteemed members of the City Council, city staff, and distinguished guests. It is a great honor to deliver the 2025 State of the City Address on the same week in which we just celebrated our 146th birthday. Tonight, let's reflect on our past achievements, address our current challenges, and chart a defined path for our future. Copperas Cove is a city of resilience and strength, and together we will continue to build a brighter tomorrow for all who call and will call our city home. A year in progress. As reported last year, we were on our way to a population of over 40,000. As of January 2025, our population is 40,638. Many of you may still have the same question. Are we prepared for more people moving into our community? In the last year, we have become more prepared for that growth. We have identified infrastructure and service needs for our community through numerous strategic planning. I had to pronounce that a couple times, make sure I did it right. Strategic planning efforts to include economic development, water, roads, parks, and public safety. City Council will be preparing their next strategic plan this year. The city's strategic plan will utilize portions of a recent planning study conducted by the Copperas Cove Economic Development Corporation, the economic investment arm of the city, for economic growth and marketing, supporting current businesses and improved business corridors with new businesses locating to Copperas Cove. And will be expanded to include, I need to get that keyboard out of the way. There we go. That's why I'm old school. Paper. See, it's right over there. With new businesses locating to Copperas Cove, and will be expanded to include goals to improve all services and projects to benefit our residents. The Copperas Cove EDC has helped secure over $14 million in grants for infrastructure along State Highway 9 and the south side of US Highway 190 to establish space for industrial companies. The EDC is also updating a study for a truck rail multimodal facility in collaboration with Fort Cavazos. This collaboration will make Copperas Cove a central regional transportation hub along east-west Interstate 14, US 190, and equidistance between IH-35 and State Highway 281, two major north-south transportation highways. Water is one of the resources our city must have not only to survive, but to flourish. Copperas Cove has enjoyed decades of sufficient water supply. Unfortunately, we experienced a prolonged loss of water in February 2021. You may remember Winter Storm Uri. In response to that issue, the city purchased and just received this past year generators for our water system to ensure water continues to be supplied and treated should electric services be cut off to these facilities. We are installing these new generators now and will consider adding additional generators in the future. In 22 and 23, our region saw major drought conditions causing all communities in our region to implement water use restrictions. To ensure Copperas Cove has sufficient treated water supply, the City Council authorized the expansion of the water treatment facility in partnership with our regional cities this past year. Copperas Cove's portion is an additional 7 million gallons per day when the project is completed in 2028. Raw water rights is another need the city has. I've been asked before, when will the city run out of water? If the city continues to grow at a rate of 3% per year, our raw water rights will be maxed out at around 2040. That doesn't mean we've run out of water. It means we'll no longer be able to grow our community without new water rights. In response to those future demands, the city has been earnestly searching for new water supplies in the past 3 years. This past year, the city worked on 2 water supply opportunities. One of those opportunities for new water ended as an infeasible project with no funds expended. The second project is proving to be feasible, which is an aquifer storage and recovery project in collaboration with Fort Cavazos and Bell County Water Control and Improvement District Number 1. Now, while this project will not provide new water to Copperas Cove, it will alleviate some of the restrictions that may come from lower water levels in Lake Belton. Additionally, the city is communicating on another water opportunity in partnership with Bell County WCID Number 1 and cooperating with state legislators and communities in the region to create the Central Texas Water Authority, which will help Copperas Cove with future water needs. Another major infrastructure need is our city streets, where we have continued roadway improvements in the last year. Oak Hill Drive and Deer Flat Drive are being reconstructed, which includes major drainage improvements for a cost of $1.9 million. This project is nearing completion within the next few months. We also allocated just over $1 million to replace a failed concrete drainage channel underneath South Drive and restored all our parts of Texas Street, Industrial Avenue, Walt Morgan Circle, Walker Place Boulevard, Freedom Lane, Winchester Drive, Pony Express Lane, Pinto Drive, and Bronx Drive. These roadway projects restored over 51,430 square yards of roadway. A small yet major roadway project that is complete, almost, you know what I'm talking about, is a State Highway 9 to Business 190 interchange. Construction for this project is fully funded through the Clean Temple Metropolitan Planning Organization and TxDOT, which total $1.4 million. Especially when it's funded outside. The roadway is expected to open for traffic soon as back-ordered equipment arrives and is installed. Looking at our parks, our city park has seen major improvements over the last few years. The highly popular Raising Cane's Dog Park opened in January 2023. And thank you again to Raising Cane's for sponsoring our first dog park. We finished replacing all the ball field lights this past year. Why is this important? Proper lighting helps to protect our children and grandchildren when playing youth sports such as baseball, softball, soccer, as well as all the adult sports utilizing those fields as well. The most recent improvements are new pedestrian bridges, walking path, and lights around what we Covites affectionately call the duck pond. This project is currently being executed with the city acting as general contractor and has saved our residents over $200,000 through this procurement method. The bridges are beautiful, and I'd encourage you to take a stroll around the duck pond. Let's talk about two last projects. The new animal shelter located at 2441 FM 1113, right behind Fire Station Number 2, was authorized by Copperas Cove voters in 2023. The new shelter will be completed in the coming months and will become the new adoption center for dogs and cats. City Council also authorized the construction for a new senior center facility. The new facility will be located at 2402 Walker Place Boulevard. City Council approved the land purchase and building purchase in 2024. The land preparation and the building foundation will begin in the next few weeks, and we anticipate the facility will be completed in the fall of 2025 at an expected cost of $3.5 million. I would also like to express a Texas-sized thank you to our voters. In November 2024, Copperas Cove voters passed by almost 60% a property tax rate to fund public safety pay rates. This was monumental. It helped secure responsive public safety at Copperas Cove. As a result of your generous vote, the police department is on track to fill all authorized positions. And that has not been the case for a while. While the fire department has not hit that pace yet, the pay rates have helped to recruit new firefighters, EMTs, and paramedics. Again, thank you, Covites, for your support of our public safety departments. Finally, I want to express my deepest gratitude to each of you. Our progress is not the work of any one person, but the result of a collective effort. Thank you for your dedication, your ideas, and your support. Together, we will continue to build a city that reflects our values, honors our history, and embraces the future with confidence and determination. God bless Copperas Cove, and may He continue to bless the great state of Texas. Thank you for attending the 2025 State of the City address, and thank you to our event sponsor, Jimmy Clark Homes, for their continued support. At this time, I would like to Thank you. And at this time, I would like to transition to our State of the City Town Hall.
Okay, well, thank you all for attending our State of the City. I am really grateful for all of you that came. I'm Ryan Haverlaw, I'm the city manager here. And Miss Beth, am I going off script a little bit?
You're good.
All right, very good, very good. I just want to make sure. So we're going to transition into our town hall. And the town hall is intended to be an engaging environment with you. All we ask is if you have a question or you want to talk about a specific topic, please go back to the table back here and fill out a card with whatever your question is or that specific topic you'd like to discuss. And while we are getting ready for that, I wanted to take a really brief moment and recognize some amazing individuals that helped to make this event possible. And those individuals are called the State of the City Committee. So if you're on the State of the City Committee, can you stand up, raise your hand if you're already standing, because we would like to recognize you. Most of them, yes. And they're all over here too, if y'all, and then behind you as well. So I just want to say thank you to them because this event doesn't just happen. We didn't just show up and y'all got a seat to sit in. No, this has been planned since about December, Kevin? Yeah. Kevin, and I rely on Mr. Keller back here, Kevin Keller. He's the Director of Public Relations. Yeah, give him a hand for us. Mayor Yancey and I, we get to stand up here and talk, but he did a tremendous amount of planning work with all of our committee members to make this happen. So thank you so much, committee members. This would not be as great of an event as it is without you. So thank you. So my applause to you. Okay, so y'all see some tables around here. I encourage y'all to go and talk to those individuals at the table. Oh, thank you, sir. Did you point that out? Somebody did over there. I saw their hand go up. So by all means, go and visit with them. Talk about any specific topic that they are here for. But here's the ground rules for our town hall meeting. Questions that have been submitted, they're going to come up here to our narrator, moderator, or whatever. And whatever is going to read the question or the topic, and then Mayor Yancey and I are going to kind of provide some answers. Now, we may invite the professional experts up here to give you a better response than what Mayor Yancey and I can give, because we don't know everything. If you didn't know that, we don't know everything. But there are people that know everything that are in the room collectively. So with that, we're going to turn it over to Miss Beth and allow you to kind of kick this off again.
AKA whatever. Yes. You just want me to go for it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay, the first question is from Mr. Mike Graham. With all the damage being done to the water lines by MetroNet, is the city being reimbursed for the cost of city resources?
That is a great question, Mr. Ram. Did you hear my conversation with Mr. what is it? You can't hear me? Oh, you can hear me now. Okay. Apologize. Maybe I'll just hold this here. Is that better? All right. Maybe you heard me talking to Mr. McMaster, and Mr. McMaster is no stranger to City Council. He attends meetings, but great question with MetroNet. But it's not just MetroNet. It's any utility provider that is doing work in Copperas Cove. If a utility provider strikes a city water line, a city wastewater collection line, or causes any other damage to public facilities, yes, those utility providers must reimburse the city for not only the direct cost of the materials, but we bill them for our staff time as well. So sometimes it takes other resources, such as the police department or the street department to go and block off the road to assist our water department or wastewater department in those repairs. And those utility providers are being charged for all of that time. So that's on the public side though, right? But what about the private side? And I'll go ahead and address that real quick. On the private side, and specifically with MetroNet, they have and continue to address all of the private interruptions that their operations are causing. So I'll give you a few examples. If MetroNet happens to drill through your sewer line before it gets to the main, they will repair your sewer line. However, they can't repair it unless you tell them also. We get lots of calls and we get lots of emails that MetroNet has caused damage. The city does not do those repairs, but we will put you in touch with MetroNet so that you can contact them and then they will work with you. We have heard some frustrations in trying to work with MetroNet, and I know y'all have read it on social media. Yeah, I know y'all have. But if you are at that point of frustration, or before you even get to the point of frustration, go to the city's website, and you can actually find the contact sheet for MetroNet, and you can contact them directly. So if a contractor for MetroNet did the damage, I encourage you to contact MetroNet. They will probably discourage you from doing that, and I guess that's their right, but contact MetroNet, because they're the ones in the end that's going to restore whatever damage they've caused.
You
All
might
right.
want to explain that that is a state contract.
Explain that that is a state contract. Okay, so that's, my goodness. I'm sorry, Mayor. It's actually not a state contract that MetroNet is working under. MetroNet is working under state legislative authorization. It's a little bit different than a contract, right? So state legislation gives telecommunication utility providers the right to use right-of-way. What is right-of-way? Well, that's basically the street, right? But there are portions just outside of the street. A lot of times if you have a sidewalk in front of your property, that's actually still right-of-way. And so it gives those telecommunicators the right to put in their utilities in that right-of-way. From a coordination standpoint, the city does coordinate with MetroNet on every single project they're doing. We tell them there's a water line at this location. There's a water main at this location. We require you to do what is called potholing, which is where they basically dig a little hole to identify that there's nothing there or there is something there they need to avoid. They're doing ground penetrating radar as well. And all of this happened as a result of them striking the water main that affected the entire city. What was it, on Little Street, Mr. Osborne? On Little Street. And so after that, we have coordinated with MetroNet nearly weekly on every project they do. That doesn't mean they always follow directions. But we do our best to educate them on where infrastructure is so that they can avoid it. And so, Mr. Osborne, anything else you want me to add? No, sir. No, okay. Great response.
Man, a few words.
Surprise, surprise.
It-
Good?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The next question is from Bill Waltz. What is the status of the rail transfer point that is in the long-range planning?
Mayor, you want to talk about some of the efforts we've done with the EDC?
On the multimodal.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. So we're working with the EDC, who's also working with Fort Cavazos, and I mentioned this in my prepared statements, for a multimodal project, highway, railroad, and to some degree air, located on the east side of the city. That will, assuming that comes to fruition, that will be one of the major growth spurts for Copperas Cove in decades. Not as important as Fort Cavazos, but very close to that, because we are geographically located on a major east-west byway, expansion of I-14 and Highway 190. We are equidistant from I-35 and Highway 281, which are major north-south transportation highways. And so we will be positioned to be able to service all of this area and make this an enviable place to live and work. Fred, did you want to say something?
Yeah, so we're going to ask Mr. Welch, Fred Welch, he's our Executive Director for the Economic Development Corporation, to come up. And I'm going to ask him to talk about the study that we're about to do, but Mr. Welch was essential in helping us secure $10.3 million. Yeah, give him a round of applause for that.
But who's counting?
$10.3 million so that we can put in new highway ramps from State Highway 9 onto Tank Destroyer Road. Now, give another applause to TxDOT for coming up with an additional $2.6 million to make that project happen. Yeah.
Which means zero cost loss.
Yes. So, Mr. Welch, how about our study?
So there is a planning study underway to accomplish two tasks. One is we have to separate the truck and the rail transportation. I won't get into all of the dynamics, but the current truck transfer point at Fort Cavazos has been behind the hospital since probably the middle 50s. And the rail center is probably 6 miles further west. So the study right now is trying to determine, from the military perspective, where we could put that truck transfer center for the military. And at the same time, if you're familiar with Clark Road, that's where all the trucks go in and out. So a study is, part of that study then is to look at the feasibility with this ramp project now of going to the west gate on Tank Destroyer Boulevard, which at this point is closed. So there's a lot of coordination that has to take place, but expanding the truck expansion point that would allow and queuing for those commercial trucks, at the same time getting kind of a co-location facility. And if I was to put it in perspective, if you look out here at Robert Gray Army Airfield, you've got the military on one side of the runway, and you've got private air traffic on the other side. And the same concept is being considered right now on how we might take using the rail as the runway, right? Where we share access on that rail head. This work is really just at the data gathering point. There will be a website posted here, hopefully in the next 3 weeks, where you can go on, you can get information on that study, what's going on. We envision the work tentatively to be done before the end of this year. It's a planning study, so it's going to. We know there's going to be some further work we're going to have to request through, in our case, the Office of Local Defense Community Cooperation, which is the agency through Department of Defense that assists communities with infrastructure projects. We talked about Tank Destroyer Boulevard. We're going to have to do some improvements there to ready that road for truck transportation. We're going to have to figure out where the truck inspection points go, and that's the military and security stuff. So this is the start of a multi-year process to kind of get this ready. And then there's a determination there, Mayor, on some land that was set up as a possible land exchange with Fort Cavazos, where we're working to find projects which either be acquisition of other property or something else that would be of value to the military that would allow the city to obtain that land probably on the other side of the golf course there to be developed for multi-purposes, but a big part of it would involve, I think, this truck rail center and then probably transition into some other types of perhaps housing or whatever. So it's an ongoing process. As I say, this is one of those overnight successes that's probably going to take the next 20 years. But if we start now, and we keep moving, that's how you get there. We capture the vision, you hold on to it, and you move on.
Thank you, Mr. Welch.
Okay, next question from, I'm sorry if I mispronounce any names. Chris Mulvey. Endeavor Build was a 3 or 4 phase with tax incentives provided. It appears they have only completed 2 phases, HEB and I can't read that word. What's pending?
Okay. So what Mr. Mulvey's question is City Council approved what is called a 380 tax incentive agreement with Endeavor Real Estate to construct the Five Hills Shopping Center, which is the location where HEB is, as well as, let's see, Chick-fil-A and McAllister's, Gold's Gym, many of the other businesses to the east of HEB also. That contract required a number of performance measures. Every provision in the original contract and the subsequent amended contract from a performance perspective has been fulfilled by Endeavor Real Estate. Some of those provisions included the construction of so many square feet, and forgive me for not knowing the exact number, but it's a specific number of square feet of retail space. In order for Endeavor Real Estate to receive their tax incentives, they had to complete all of those portions. And they've completed all of those portions. So Endeavor Real Estate receives a portion of the property tax rebated back to them. So they pay the property tax, and then they get a portion of that back. And Endeavor Real Estate receives a portion of the sales tax that is collected in that geographic area, where those businesses, again, collect sales tax from us as the consumers, and then once that year is complete and all the reporting is submitted, a portion of that sales tax that has been received by the city is remitted back to Endeavor Real Estate. Coryell County was also a participant in that incentive. So Coryell County has their own agreement with Endeavor Real Estate. It mirrors whatever the city's agreement was as well, but they have a different contractual or separate contractual relationship. And the question Mr. Mulvey is asking is, there's still a lot of empty, vacant land to the south of where Gold's Gym is and the shopping area where Bell's and McAllister's building area is. That land is still owned by Endeavor Real Estate, but contractually, based on that 380 agreement, there is no longer a requirement for them to develop that. However, they are a for-profit business. That doesn't mean that they're just sitting on the land. They are actively working to try and bring business to Copperas Cove. We just haven't seen the fruits of their efforts yet. But we do know that they have talked with a number of other big box retailers. When I say big box, kind of like Walmart, HEB, they've got a big building. That's what we call a big box. And they've also looked at other ventures such as multifamily, like an apartment type of complex. Again, nothing's come to fruition, but from all the rest of us, it looks like it's just sitting there, right? So hopefully that answers your question, Mr. Mulvey.
Next question is from George McMaster. When will we see a U-turn light at Constitution and Business 190?
When will we see a what?
Okay, so a U-turn light at Business 190 and Constitution. That's a great question. Okay, the short answer is I hope soon. And the reason I say I hope soon is I actually received a phone call from our TxDOT area engineer. TxDOT is working on a project, and forgive me for not remembering what the specific project is, but the specific question that was asked of me was, would City Council be supportive of us including the U-turn signal at Business 190 and Constitution in this project? Of course, my response is, well, yes, it's supposed to be there anyway. And then they continued the question. And they asked the question of, would the city be willing to pay for it? All I can give is a conditional, yeah, I think so. City Council still has to authorize that. So until I get something official in writing that TxDOT is actually including this project in whatever project they are proposing to do, and receive a contract with TxDOT that the city is going to participate in the project, my best answer is I hope soon. But there is at least movement on trying to get that U-turn signal installed.
Okay,
I'll add something on there. The reason why there's not a U-turn at that spot is the signal light that's there, the mast
arm.
is not long enough to have a signal at each lane, and that is a TxDOT requirement. And so they have to go back in and put a new mast, which would require a new anchor post, which would require a new foundation to support the extra weight and everything that goes along with it. So that's the long and short of it.
Yep.
Good. Our next question is from Ray Payne. Is there a need to create a committee or work group of volunteers to assist ATAC in creating plans or maintaining hike and bike paths associated with their efforts?
Good question. Okay, so let's break down the question a little bit. Do we need to have a committee to support the efforts of ATAC? Correct?
Yes.
ATAC. So let's define what ATAC is. And Mr. Payne, you may have to help me, or Mr. Stoddard, you may have to help me. I think it's active or alternative transportation
Access.
advisory committee. Active Transportation Advisory Committee. It used to be called the Bike and Ped Group, Bicycle and Pedestrian Group. They've become, I guess, a little bit more modern. And what that group is that is actually underneath the Clean Temple Metropolitan Planning Organization. And the city is a member of K-Tempo, which is that organization. They have a subcommittee called ATAC, and that group actually focuses on pedestrian, bike, and other active transportation network infrastructure. They look at bike lanes, they look at sidewalks, they look at hiking trails. Anything else that they specifically look at? Those are the big ones? Okay, so those are the big ones. Question is, do we as Copperas Cove need to have a committee to help support ATAC? And I will say the answer to that really is yes, and that committee already exists. So if you are interested in participating, it's called the Quality of Life Advisory Committee. And it works with our Parks and Recreation Director as the staff liaison to that committee. Those members of the Quality of Life Board are appointed by City Council. You fill out an application, say you're interested in being on the Quality of Life Board. All of the projects that you have seen in City Park are recommendations of the Quality of Life Board. So new sports field lighting, as the mayor talked about, the new pedestrian bridges and the walking trail, as the mayor mentioned, all recommendations of the Quality of Life Board. And so that board can be that mechanism or that tool to help ATAC, again, Active Transportation Advisory Committee, provide their recommendations on a regional basis as well. So, Mr. Stoddard, would you want to add anything else? No? Okay, very good.
Okay, our next question is from Donnie Brower. Does the city plan on addressing the drainage ditch between Robertson Avenue and Amthor, the ditch directly behind 517 Judy Lane? Also, Gold's Gym has mold. How can we, I apologize, how can we make sure the citizens are protected? Several members and I are concerned about air quality. Please address this.
Okay, I kind of think there's two questions there, really. And I'm going to invite either Mr. Osborne or Mr. Altott up to come talk about the drainage, because I honestly don't know exactly where that drainage issue is. But we're doing drainage projects all the time, so.
Good evening. Great to see y'all out here. A lot bigger turnout than last year. My name's Scott Osborne. I'm the Director of Public Works. As such, I'm over about 8 departments, including drainage, street maintenance, water and sewer, et cetera. So I can touch on the drainage aspect. In that area of town, we recently started working that ditch from the south down towards this area to regrade and kind of reestablish some of those areas in there, including cleaning that up. The city's drainage staff basically works on a 4-cycle plan, so you see us throughout the city, throughout the year, hitting these 4 cycles. In total, the city maintains about 150, 160 miles of drainage areas and channels, including this ditch that was brought up in question. With that being said, I'm not entirely sure what the specific issue the citizen has with this particular area behind their house. However, if you have not done so yet, please give us a call at the drainage department. Speak to my superintendent or myself, Superintendent John Field, and we can look into your issue at that point and address what you have.
All right, thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Osborne. Appreciate that. Okay, so the second part of that question was claims that there's mold in Gold's Gym and how we can provide a safe environment for our residents with businesses, really. And so, Chief Wilson, would you like me to call Mr. Henning up, or would you want to try to address this?
I believe they mitigated that. I know they worked on it for the past couple of months, and they've since reopened that area, so I believe they've addressed it.
All right, so Chief Wilson just said that he believes that Gold's Gym has mitigated that mold concern at Gold's Gym, and they've opened that area back up. So thank you, Chief Wilson.
Okay, our next question is from Thomas Berger. Where is the bowling alley needed for services? Why is no major car dealer in Copperas Cove?
Ooh, I think that's a great question for Mayor Yancey.
I will answer that in the simplest way possible. Capitalism. If there is money to be made in Copperas Cove with a car dealership, you can bet there will be one. We did have a Ford dealership, Chevy dealership. I know those two whenever I first moved here in 1982. They have since moved out, and if you'll notice, most smaller, can you hear me, George? Oh,
No.
could you hear me now?
Project.
Most smaller dealerships have gone away. They've basically gotten to the major metropolitan areas and mega stores, and many of them, well, you saw the construction of a 5-story parking garage for new cars. You know why that is? It's cheaper to build that than pay for the insurance over a time continuum. That kind of tells you where that's going. But the bottom line in the deal, there's a continued consolidation, and this will continue for the next couple of decades. And after that, I don't know what's going to happen with automobiles. Maybe we'll all have to plug in somewhere, but I don't know. But that's why we don't have a car dealership. Bowling alley?
Yes, sir.
Same answer. There's only one bowling alley, to my knowledge, in Killeen. There's two?
There's two.
Tells you last time I've been bowling. But when have we had one here? In the 70s and 80s. Okay, that was before my time, early. But it keeps coming back. And we talk about keep your dollars in Copperas Cove, and as that increases, those numbers get looked at by site selectors and many other facets of companies that want to expand or grow. And it comes back to the same thing. If there's a market that will take that on and allow them to make a profit, they'll be here.
Mayor, may I add to that?
Sure.
Okay, public poll. Who knew that there is a private brewery in Copperas Cove? Raise your hand. Oh, I'm impressed.
Now we know.
Y'all just amaze me. But the fact is that several of y'all did not raise your hand. Now, same type of question. Who's actually been there? Oh, much smaller. Do y'all know that they serve pizza there? Okay, so you don't. Yeah, the brewery. They're a brewery, but they serve food. If you don't drink alcohol, you can still go there and eat pizza. All right. So here's this is what I tell people all the time. The reason we have so many chicken restaurants is because you like chicken.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. And all those chicken restaurants figured out that you like chicken, and so they move here, and they're building here.
Yep.
So why don't we have a bowling alley? Why don't we have a dealership? Why don't we have a steakhouse? Why don't we have a grocery store on the west side of town? The city doesn't get to pick the businesses that come here.
Yeah.
But the businesses get to pick you. And when you support the businesses that are already in town, the new businesses, they do all the research, and they are sophisticated investors.
Yes.
And they know whether you're spending the money in Copperas Cove or you're going east of here to spend the money. And they look at that. And so I encourage you, spend your money in Copperas Cove. And if you want a business in town, call those businesses and tell them, come to Copperas Cove. You have one of the greatest impacts of new businesses coming here if you'll call them.
So good. I love it. Thank you. The last question that I have here is from Eric Walsh. What is the status of the Highway 9 bypass turnaround, and what is holding up the lighting?
Okay, so the mayor.
The straight truth.
Yeah, Mayor already mentioned about, during his address, the turnaround at State Highway 9 to Business 190. So grateful for the partnership that we have at the K-Temple level, which is where that funding was allocated, to TxDOT, who actually helped move forward that project. We had a great engineer that designed that project, really got that project moving forward relatively quickly, got built relatively quickly. The plan is that, we're trying to become this society that's called net zero. What is net zero? That means we're using resources, but we are not having a negative impact on our environment. So if we use so many carbons, as they call them, then we're reducing the amount of carbons. Well, some of the chevron signs that are in that curve, and those are the arrows that tell you to turn a certain way, those are solar powered. Those solar powered lights were installed. They're going to work great. The ones that get sunlight. Some of those don't get sunlight because there's an overpass, a bridge over some of those solar panels. So TxDOT recognized that and asked our engineer, hey, do us a change order. We need to get some equipment in here so we can actively power those lights that are on those chevron signs. And they've been back out there over the last week trying to install that equipment and get that open. So I don't have an answer of when it's going to open. Sorry, Mr. Welch.
That's all the questions I have.
Okay, that's all the questions?
Yeah.
What time is it? It is 6:25. I'm going to get early dinner. Okay, so how about, Mayor, would you be okay if maybe we took a 5-10 minute break? Give you another opportunity to go fill out and write questions down, and then we can come back in about 5-10 minutes, maybe answer some more questions that might have been left. In the meantime, we have amazing team members around the room. If you want to go visit with them, talk with them, or just talk with your neighbors, this is a great place to do that.
I also want to say I very much appreciate, and staff that's worked at this, very much appreciate your attendance here. It shows you care about Copperas Cove. It shows that we're all in this together. And this is probably, I'm going to say, at least a third, if not another level higher attendance than it was last year. And so I think it speaks well of where we are as a city, as a cohesive unit, and not all cities can say that. And I think it speaks well of our community, and I appreciate everybody being here.
Okay, we'll be back at 6:35 if there's more questions.
Wow. Jeez, I feel everyone's listening to me and everything. That's not normal.
Oh, whenever you're ready.
Yep.
Okay, our next question is from Donna McFarland. What is the time frame for the city to actually respond to trimming limbs or trees after one has contacted the city?
Ooh, that is a great question. In fact, that question, I was trying to figure out a way how to get solid waste up here. So thank you for asking the question. Yeah, that's great. Mr. Scott, or is it Mr. Victor? Who's going to come answer that question? Oh, it's Mr. Osborne. Here we go.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Beth. If I understand the question is, how long, if you call in an issue relating to branches that need to be trimmed, does it take the city to get out there? Okay. Oh, it's right here. Hey, look. And as I used to practice as a lawyer, I'm going to give you a lawyer answer. It depends. And really, that depends on whose tree is it? Is it your tree? Is it the city's tree? If it's the city's tree, i.e. located in the right-of-way, something we maintain in a drainage channel, typically we'll, after receiving a concern, we'll be out there to assess that within 1 to 2 days. As far as actually, if it is our responsibility, as far as completing that work, that may take a little bit longer, but I would say probably not outside of a week or so, unless there's additional work or additional concerns that need to be addressed relating to that specific issue. If it is your tree, it's up to you to cut it. A lot of people have trees in their yard that overhang the right-of-way. Those limbs are still the property owner's responsibility to trim those back, and then you call in my guy Larry Scott with solid waste. If you put it out on your curb, he and Vic come over and pick up that brush every other week. So I hope that addresses your question. If you do have anything specific in mind, once again, give Public Works a call, or step over here after we're done with the Q&A. We can take your phone number, take a look at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
The next question is from Andy, Herb and Ernie's fame. Yes. What, if any, plans does the city have for improving the infrastructure of the downtown area?
Wow.
Whoa. That's a pretty loaded question.
Yeah. Thanks, Andy. Hey, I'm going to come for our brat one day. Soon. Tomorrow. Okay, so what plans does the city have to improve infrastructure downtown? Let's break that down to a couple of different infrastructures. Let's talk about what's underground first. That's water lines and sewer lines. And the city already has a plan to go in and replace some of the water lines in downtown. Some of the oldest lines in the city, Mr. Osborne? Yeah, some of the oldest lines in the city. We bid that project out, and we got bids back way over budget. So we had to reject those bids because we did not have sufficient budget to do the project. So there is a plan to do that part. Let's talk about sidewalks next. Some of the sidewalks in downtown, they're a little aged, a little rough at times, and several of them definitely not in compliance with ADA's modern rules at this point. ADA being accessibility rules. At this point, there is no specific project to improve the sidewalks downtown at this time. Well, let's talk about the roadways. Is there a plan to improve roadways downtown? That's kind of worked into our roadway improvement program. The city did a pavement assessment study a couple of years ago. That study indicated that in order for us to start raising what we would call the score of our roadways, and at this point, our score is below 70, and if you're in school, that typically means you're failing to an extent, but it's not bad because it's still in the 60s, all right? So we still have room to get better. Yeah.
You're not on ScoPro, but
Yeah.
you're getting close.
We're gonna get better. But here's the issue with roadways is we have limited funding. And we have just over $1 million to do roadway maintenance through town. And after this past year, the roadway maintenance projects are going to be extremely limited and restricted based on the available funding because we took a few years to build up that fund balance. We did some roadway projects for a few years. They were great projects. They turned out great. The roadway improvements were great. But now we're running out of funds again. So if we're going to do that, we're going to have to either wait a few years to generate additional funds so we can do those projects, or as has been discussed with City Council since about 2013, is a thing called the transportation utility fee. Now, nobody's asked about that yet, and I know it's been in the newspaper, and I know y'all have talked about it online. It's not popular, and I get it. But there has to be some type of way to pay for our street maintenance and improvement projects. So by all means, please be engaged with that. This is going to come back to council. It's not approved yet. It's not authorized. But it's coming back to council for further discussion based on the direction they've given us. So going back to downtown, we have a plan to replace water lines. We just got to have the sufficient funding for it, and that's being worked into our long-range capital projects. So we're going to get to it. We are. It's just going to take some time to get there. Sidewalks and roadway improvements, we don't have a identified written plan for that, but we are working on one thing that affects downtown greatly, and that's the railroad crossings. We did receive a grant in partnership with the BNSF Railroad, and the BNSF Railroad has a perception of being very difficult to work with, but they worked with us to obtain a grant to study our railroad crossings. And one of the requirements of that study is to call out and identify a grade-separated crossing, which means it's going to be an overpass or an underpass and probably be focused somewhere in the downtown area. Copperas Cove actually had a $10 million grant to put in an underpass on First Street. We didn't do that project. The community didn't support it. BNSF Railroad didn't support it. TxDOT didn't support it. And eventually, City Council didn't support it. So if I can say this, we saved face and we talked to the granting agency and said, we're not going to do that project. We're not ready for it. So yeah, we've got some focuses that we're going to do. And the Economic Development Corporation has been trying to focus on a downtown association to help bring some of those projects forward that, hey, City Council, we as an association, a downtown group, think this project needs to be done. Just like I talked about the quality of life board earlier, City Council listens to those advisory committees and they take action based on those advisory committees. So if you are in downtown, or you own businesses downtown, you own property downtown, you're renting downtown, speak with the Economic Development Corporation and let's get that group a little bit more active. So hopefully that helps.
Okay, Lynn would like to know, is there or can there be a process to get updates on major city projects such as joint railhead and rail crossing over underpass initiatives?
Get updates, yes. Let's talk about a couple of different ways. One, there's typically updates at the Economic Development Corporation, which specifically is focusing on this project. Two, you can come to City Council meetings or you can listen to them online. I give regular updates to City Council about a whole lot of different projects. I haven't talked about that one, but I can add that one. And then three, Economic Development Corporation and I get invited to different civic groups, and we basically give updates to those groups. That's all they want us for. They feed us sometimes, but they just want the information out of us. So we try to give them that information.
Okay. Jennifer would like to know, do local mom and pop joints receive incentives to open up new businesses in our area?
I am going to invite Mr. Lewis up here. Mr. Lewis, why don't you come join us up here? Mr. Lewis is our Development Services Director. Any new business that is considering opening in Copperas Cove, I encourage you to do a few things. One, go talk to the Economic Development Corporation. They recently started a new series for new and potentially new business owners. Get involved, get engaged in that. In terms of specific incentives, the city does not provide financial incentives for that. However, from a development process, we just adopted a new zoning code, just adopted a new subdivision ordinance, a new sign ordinance over the last few years. And Mr. Lewis, why don't you kind of talk about the process of a new business wanting and trying to open up in Copperas Cove?
Sure. Is this on? Okay. Well, I'm not an attorney, and I'm
So you're going to give a straight answer, right?
and I'm going to say the same thing. It depends. But we talk to people all the time, and they want to know what the existing zoning is on their property, or they may be looking at a piece of property. And so Kathy and I will sit down with a lot of prospective business people to get a plan of what they want to do. And there could be a full gamut of things. Well, I want to open up a little retail store. And a lot of times we'll have a place that we'll show them, maybe a vacancy is in the downtown area. But the challenges we have is our existing infrastructure too. But you'll see the downtown has sprang up with a lot of new small mom and pop businesses. And so we're encouraging people to do their due diligence, to find out exactly what's allowed in that particular area. And so we've seen some successes with that, working with Economic Development Corporation people to know where they can go and where they can thrive. So anyway, that's
All right.
the short answer.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
Welcome.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Jack would like to know, when is the 190 bypass getting extended around town and overpass at 2657 getting done?
Good question. Before I answer that question, I want to go back to the last question. And, you know, we really haven't talked about the Chamber of Commerce, but the Chamber of Commerce is there to support businesses. And so if you have needs as a business or a future business owner or entrepreneur, also go talk to the Chamber of Commerce because they support you business owners. That's what they're there for. So, right?
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
And we're happy to do it.
Okay, when is the bypass going to be expanded to I-14 standards, and when is the overpass going to be built? I'm sorry, because if you've listened to me over the last couple of years, you are so confused about this. I know you are.
As are we.
So we had received word from TxDOT a couple of years ago that they were going to try to push this project, and it should have already been bid and under construction now. It's not happened. And TxDOT, of course, that's their roadway, and all the funding in order to do that project is secured by them. The official let date for that bypass is 2027. Again, I'm going to give you unrealistic, or I might disappoint you, not unrealistic. I might disappoint you, but they have told us they're going to try to get it into 2026. So they might let it in 2026. But when this project is let, and it's actually bid out, I believe, and where's Mr. Lewis again? Mr. Lewis, I think it's on the TIP, which is a Transportation Improvement Program document, for 49 million, 48 million? Yeah, somewhere around there. So it's going to add 2 additional lanes on the bypass that's going to be separated from the existing 2 lanes. And it will add an addition of 6 new bridges. So there are already 4 bridges on that stretch of roadway. So they're going to add another bridge right next to it, right? And then at FM 2657, they're adding 2 new bridges because that's going to be an overpass. In addition to that, I-14 is already being planned moving west. So from FM 2657 west heading towards Kempner, I-14 is being planned in the Brownwood TxDOT district as well. There's a conceptual plan of what that looks like. There will be an overpass at, is it called Valley at Great Hills Drive? Valley at Great Hills Drive, and an overpass at Big Divide Road being planned. I-14 is also being planned moving east from Interstate 35 all the way through up to, I believe, Cameron, Texas. So if you drive US 190 going east, there's a lot of construction work occurring out there as well. So all of this is being planned to continue to push it out. But 2027 is the official date or year. 2026 is the I hope so date.
Matthew would like to know, are there any plans to repair 17th Street between Avenue B and D? This small street is one of our rail crossings, but is crumbling away.
Good question. You know, I talked about that railroad crossing study. That crossing was specifically listed in there. Is it correct, Mr. Lewis? Yeah, that crossing was specifically listed in there. We submitted a pedestrian improvement project to that crossing, which would actually add a pedestrian area for that location also. There is no current plans to do any major improvements to that crossing. As far as the roadway, that would fit in that pavement condition study, and it'll follow the funding as we get funding for roadways to eventually do improvements on that section as well. Unfortunately, we've had trucks stuck on the railroad at that intersection or that crossing before. So if you know anybody who drives an 18-wheeler, discourage them from using that crossing. It's not good. Yes, sir.
Eleanor would like to know about the South Park trees that have been trimmed. Will the residue be cleaned up?
Great question. I'm going to invite Mr. Stoddard, our Parks and Recreation Director, up here to kind of talk about that. But I will say that that project is actually in collaboration with another organization who actually did the tree trimming. So, Mr. Stoddard, why don't you give us an update on what's going on?
So the glossy privet eradication is done by Texas A&M and Texas Parks and Wildlife on a grant funded. They got about a quarter of the way into the project, then the wildfires started happening, so they were pulled elsewhere. There's plans to come back out there and continue the cleanup and also the eradication of the invasive species. So it's just a matter of time. We are, in fact, I have a meeting on Monday to speak to the city manager about some seasonal help, and South Park is one of the things that we'll be talking about with additional people.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Stoddard.
Okay, this is the last question. George would like to know, why did the city consider exemptions for a transportation utility fee when such exemptions are illegal? Considering the senior citizen utility rates elimination by the law, why did this discussion happen?
Okay, is that the second question from George? Yes. Did we charge him for the second? I'm just playing, George.
$10 on the water bill?
$10? Oh.
Right at,
Ooh. That was Beth, that wasn't me.
I don't have that power, so you're safe, George.
Okay, transportation utility fee. Mr. Osborne, you want to kind of come up here and talk about that? But what George is asking is there was a discussion with City Council about that transportation utility fee. One of the portions of that discussion are, did City Council want to include any exemptions for properties being charged that fee? And Mr. Osborne.
Thank you very much. Last year, they told me my responses were way too long. This could be a way too long response. However, we're coming down to a hard stop in 2 minutes, so I'm going to try to summarize what the impetus of this discussion is. The city has currently been exploring the transportation utility fee, as Mr. Haverlaw stated, which is an alternate mechanism to funding roadway maintenance and actually get the city on track to actually start effectively maintaining its roads through that additional revenue. With that, as you look around the state of Texas, polling probably 15 to 20 cities that have implemented and utilize a transportation utility fee. Every ordinance has an exemption of one thing or another. Some actually have no exemptions. So Mr. McMaster's keyed in on a discussion we recently had with City Council at the City Council retreat at the end of February relating to them actually kind of thinking about some of those exemptions. Throughout Texas, there's a variety of different exemptions that are out there. City staff does not recommend any exemptions. City council, after discussion of a variety of them, they're inclined, they haven't made a decision yet, but they're shying away from those exemptions as well. Some of those exemptions would cover and these are just examples, for example, city, federal, state agencies, public entities, so to speak. Other exemptions potentially would go to the school district or to college facilities, nonprofit agencies, et cetera. Those are some of the things that have been carved out of these type of ordinances in other communities. Again, City Council has not made a decision on this. What you will see as we get a little further on into the year is a lot of public information relating to this transportation utility fee. There's a lot of trepidation out there, but there's a lot of information, a lot of foundation that the city has basically established to really paint the picture. The problem is, as Mr. Haverlaw stated, we have a significant issue with the condition of our network. It's currently at what they call a pavement condition index, average citywide of 60. When you get down to 50, those roadways are failed. To adequately maintain a system and actually enhance it, money is needed. The city does not have those revenues at current, so this is a potential solution. Again, a potential solution that more information will be pushed out to the community in the very near future. There'll be a lot of engagement. There'll be a lot of discussion about what does this look like, what do we hope to achieve, and what can the citizens handle? What can our commercial entities handle to help the city address this system-wide problem? So with that, I went over 2 minutes. And I apologize, but I'll hand back to the boss.
Thank you, Mr. Osborne. Really appreciate that. Yeah, give him a hand clap. So it's 7 o'clock, right, Beth?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, Mayor, I think now would be a good time to kind of stop where we're at. And I want to really say thank you, because this level of engagement and involvement by you is what your governing body needs to hear to make effective policy decisions for the city you live in. And coming up very, very soon is another opportunity for you to voice your opinion, and that's called the Citizen Survey. And we haven't done a citizen survey in a few years, but it's coming. And I encourage you, when you see that survey, complete it, fill it out, send it in. Give us, specifically your governing body, the opinions that they need to hear to make effective governance for the city we live in. So thank you for being here. Mayor?
I want to reiterate what I said earlier. It's very gratifying to see the level of participation with the citizenry here in Copperas Cove, the unity between governing bodies and its citizens. We conduct ourselves in a professional manner here, and it's very gratifying to see the level of participation that we have between city council, and you, the citizens. This is your city. And I want to, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being here tonight.
Okay, that concludes the 2025 State of the City Town Hall. We'd like to once again thank our event sponsor, Jimmy Clark Homes, and extend our sincere appreciation to HEB for the refreshments. This evening was a collaborative effort between the City of Copperas Cove, the Copperas Cove Chamber of Commerce and Visitors Bureau, and the Copperas Cove Economic Development Corporation. I would also like to thank the IT department because they did a great job. Thank you so much. We obviously couldn't have this without them. This event was also recorded and will be available soon on the city's YouTube channel for anyone who would like to rewatch it or to share it with someone who didn't attend. Thank you for joining us, and please drive safely on your way home. Before you leave, inside your bag, there's one of these. I need you to scan this QR code and download the Discover Copperas Cove app. The Chamber worked on this, and we released it in January. This is an amazing tool for our community. It showcases all the businesses and organizations in town, along with city departments, city information, whether you live, work, or visit here. It also highlights events, and coming soon, we're gonna have a very, very, very detailed event calendar in there. So the next time someone tells you there's nothing to do in Copperas Cove, I will be able to prove to you that that is not true. So please, download the app and support your local businesses through that app.